Welcome to the podcast. We do recover with Jared Miller, your host.
And I'm Dr. Terry Sellers, your co-host.
This is a podcast about recovery from addiction.
We want to talk about what successful recovery can look like.
Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn.
All right, we're back in the saddle on another beautiful Friday. Get ready to do episode 53.
I'm so excited.
We are going to tackle the topic of step 3. And I've invited a friend from childhood. Super excited.
Absolutely.
I got to reconnect with this guy today. It's been fun. It's been a blast. We went out and got some lunch.
Yes, we did.
We're going to talk about step 3. But before that, this podcast is sponsored. Episode 53, 52. Man, Sean, I'm already losing it today. Episode 52, part 1 is brought to you by Steps Recovery Centers, where addiction ends and healing begins. If you or a loved one need help, please reach out and give them a call. You can call them at 801-800-8142.
Awesome.
I mean, I may have some personal bias here because I work for them.
You do.
But I think that they're the gold standard. Like, I really do.
Everybody else needs to emulate and copy what we're doing over here.
Yes, that is how I feel, for sure, for sure. And Brandon actually was an amazing, awesome individual and agreed to go talk tonight.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
I'm.
It's something that I'm passionate about, as are you. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, man. The whole purpose of us doing these types of things is to raise awareness, to let addicts in recovery and people in recovery know that there is a tomorrow. Does that make sense? So
absolutely.
That's
totally
where
makes sense.
Anything that has to do with the better side of addiction, like after the smoke clears, I'm all for.
I love it, man. I can't wait for you to
it.
get in there and talk to the clients. You're going to be a powerhouse.
Popular, bro. I'm gonna be popular. They're gonna ask to sign my yearbook. Can I sign your yearbook though?
Do you get yearbooks and treatment? I don't know. Hopefully you're not staying there long enough to get a yearbook. Hopefully you're not staying there long enough to get a yearbook.
Oh my! So that's what we're gonna do.
Cool. Well, let's do some check-ins, man. Let's start with Sean. Sean Denovan. What's new and good with you? What's going on?
I don't know. I haven't had time to think about it. Oh, we got the new microphone stands in the studio.
Yes.
They work great too, Sean. You
Fantastic.
did an excellent job.
Thank you.
You did. You're
Round
such
of
a
applause.
professional.
Because Jared broke the last one.
Yeah. Well, not me, but a guest I had on. It's fine.
Hey, you're responsible for them.
That's-
You bring them in here.
If they break it, you bought it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That's great.
There you go. There you go.
Anything less would be uncivilized, Sean. I like your stance on broken mics and the people who should pay for them.
Absolutely. All right, Brandon Stallworth.
Hey, man.
What's new and good with you, dude? What you got going on in your life these days, man?
Brother, man, my life has been a whirlwind, to be honest with you. I got married July 12th, apparently 2 days before you got married.
You beat me by 2 days.
By two days. By 2 days.
2 days.
But great minds think alike.
Hey, amen.
Yeah,
brother.
because my wife was saying, you know what? I want to get married on the 4th. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. That's my favorite holiday. So we'll have fireworks then. Then we'll have an excuse to have fireworks on our wedding. Then we can do it again on Pioneer Day. So we could just have a whole month full of fireworks.
That sounds like you need to start investing in some Chinese fireworks, bro.
Something. I need to invest in something, I'll tell you what. But
Well, my wife wanted to do 7-14-21
ooh.
because she's a special ed. She's a teacher, right? And so she wanted to do increments of 7. And it makes it very easy. I was like, send it, because that makes it super easy for my simple-minded country boy head to wrap my head around. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
Let's just call it what it is, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, between that, getting married, I had a son, my youngest, my third. Wow. Sorry, when you say it out loud, it's like, wow. And I got another one on the way. Another one on the way currently right now as we speak, and I'm sitting here. So
you got to slow down.
No, I'm done.
We don't have Dr. Sellers on here today, but he would crack his famous joke if he was with us. When God said repopulate the earth, right? He wasn't talking specifically just to you.
I missed
Brandon.
the memo. I didn't get it because what I heard was do the thing. So I've been doing it, and I've been doing it good. Okay. But now I got to stop. So beyond 4, that I have to be in a different tax bracket at this point, and I'm just not there. I'm trying to be, but I'm not there yet.
Talk to me about Spot Me Goose.
Okay.
I love the shirt, bro.
Okay, so
You're doing
I got
some big things. He's literally big things these days. Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. So I ended up hooking up with this awesome powerlifting and strongman gym out in Salt Lake, Body Temple Athletics. Shout out to them, Heidi Campo and company. My sister, Rebecca Wyatt, she's a beast. She is the most pound for pound, one of the strongest women I've ever seen. You look at her and you're like, no, and then you see her and you're like, wow. So, yeah, man, they actually got me into it. It's been the most humbling and rewarding experience I've had in a very long time. They do amazing work. So the Spot Me Goose came from, I was actually at a competition, my last strongman competition, which was on the 27th up in Idaho, which was the Strength and Fitness Fest out there. Shout out to them and Teton Strong and Chase Strong and all those guys. They put on an amazing competition. I actually got this shirt from a company called Basically Elite. And actually, I got the shirt, I got the band, I got the shorts. You can't see them.
Swagged out.
I am, head to toe. My drip is immaculate, as the kids today would say. But yeah, man, it's been stellar.
Hey, listen, I've seen it. I follow you on social media. I see the competitions you do. I see the workouts that you do. It's insane, bro. I'm good with the pink 5-pound dumbbell. You know what I mean? Like
I'll curl it for volume.
I'm a strong man. You know what I mean? I'm feeling good about it. And then I see you like throwing 400-pound logs around, and I'm like, Brandon, you got to stop tapping the table because you're going to break the thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, let me take my hands off real quick, actually. I'll put my hands on my knees. I'd rather break those than your table because I know how Sean feels about broken things.
That's right. I don't want to have to pay for
it. Shout out to Sean. I won't. I'll do my best. Yeah, no promises.
You're good, but that's awesome. So we're talking about life and recovery today. You've erased and so back in the day, about a year ago when we first started this thing, one of the first people we had on was Coach Blue with Addict Athletes, and he talked about erase and replace, and it sounds like that's really what you're doing with your strongman stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I did see that podcast. That was a great podcast, by the way. That episode. That's exactly what I'm doing. I feel that throughout my addiction, I lived in a negative headspace for so long, for so many years. We're talking 20 plus some odd years, and as in active addiction, I'm just barely into the cusp to where I'm almost at 3 years clean right now, and a big part of that has been due to everything I'm focusing on in regards to fitness and doing things like this podcast, speaking with gentlemen like you. I'm just trying to raise awareness. I'm trying to bring the message to the forefront because it is a message that the world needs to hear, because it's not just a problem in Utah. It's a big problem in Utah, but it's a problem everywhere.
We're gonna get back to that because that may be one of the questions I got.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Sorry, let me slow down.
You're good, bro. You're good. I love it. I love that great minds think alike, right?
Anything less of being civilized.
So I'm gonna go ahead and check in. New and good for me. So if you are on the East Coast tonight, I fly out of Las Vegas. We'll be in Pittsburgh tomorrow. There's the Bridging the Gap event. Amanda Marker, thank you so much. She's the one that's putting it on. She's the promoter for the event. Thank you so much for having me come be the
So
one of the speakers there.
So are you a keynote speaker there?
I am. I'm the keynote speaker. I'm the one that finishes it off before the fireworks. But no pressure, right?
No, I mean,
you know what the worst thing, you know what the worst thing is?
What's the
I haven't even started preparing my speech yet.
What?
Yeah, dude, it's I know. Mandy's over there.
Dude,
going
idle hands, brother.
I just got too many rods in the fire. I got an idea.
I spent an afternoon with you, and I could say that this man right here, Jared, is an incredibly busy man. He's an incredibly passionate man. He's good at what he does, so I understand. You'll knock it out, bro. You have the whole plane ride.
The topic's going to be the recovery movement, and I already got tons of stuff that I can get. I just got to put the pieces together. I got the pieces. Just got to put the puzzle together.
Just got to hit the bullet points.
That's right. and so then if you're a local person, if you're down here in southern Utah, the 30th, USARA is doing recovery days.
Oh, awesome.
My mind blanked there for a minute. I'm like looking for Sean to put up the thing, but I didn't ask him to. No, it's okay, Sean. Recovery days is the 30th. Thank you. There we go. Yep. Recovery days the 30th. Next couple Thursdays from now.
Awesome.
From 4 to 7. Yeah, there's gonna be music. It's gonna be free food, t-shirts.
I'm very familiar with.
I'm MCing that, so those are my new and goods.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
you're gonna be MCing that as well.
Yeah, my awkwardness. They love apparently my awkwardness and my mumbly stumbly words. So I'll do my best, and I can't pronounce names, so we'll see how it goes.
Go out there and butcher everyone's name.
Yeah.
We're glad you're doing good. Just come up here. You're up.
Come. Nice. All right. Let's jump into this thing. So before we get to step 3, okay, I want to kind of touch on brief touches on a couple things first. So first of all, Brandon, why do you choose to speak open publicly about your recovery? There's a stigma out there. I don't know if you know this.
No, very much so. That's actually a great question, Jared. To put it to put it frankly, is that there's nothing that I could say in public that you couldn't go on the internet and find out about me yourself. I like to think of myself as an open book.
You've got quite the rap sheet, my friend.
I do. It's extensive. It's super long. It's longer than Manute Bol. I don't know if you remember Manute Bol, the super African basketball player from that's me. But in doing so, in gaining that rap sheet, I also gained all sorts of life experience, which has led me to sitting here talking with you. So I honestly wouldn't trade that experience for anything in the world. I wouldn't.
I love it.
You know,
You're part of that recovery movement that I'm about to go talk about.
Yes, sir.
That's what we're doing today. That's the whole why behind this podcast. I love it.
Did you guys hear that? That's why we're here.
That's why we're here, baby.
That's why we're here.
All right, let's touch on step 1 for you. So, do you remember when you first realized that you had a problem? Some may call it powerless and unmanageability. Do you remember really when it first dawned on you, like, man, I really got a problem. I can't stop this train. It's running away on me.
There's been a couple times throughout my addiction because I've done so much time. But I want to say to where I truly felt powerless and like this is a problem. It needs to be addressed. It needs to be corrected, and it needs to happen now, was February 13th, 2019, which is when the last time I went to jail. It was for an assault charge. I'm not really going to go into the details of all that, but
Drug-related, though. Drug-related.
No, yes and no. I was under the influence.
Right,
yes,
so
absolutely.
that's what I mean.
So I was under the influence. I went into jail, and I'm not gonna lie, I was high as a kite. I went in there, hit the hay. Eventually, I ended up going to sleep. When I came to, about a day and a half later, I slept for a while, which would have made February 14th, 15th. I literally looked up. I went out of my section, or went out of my cell, went down into the section. Saw all sorts of old faces, which that's not a good sign. If you're that guy who you're used to seeing everybody in jail and in prison, and they're all used to seeing you all the time, that's not good. And this time around when I was there, I just had this sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. I'm looking around. I have all these people who are looking up to me and asking me for guidance and stuff like that. And I'm like, when I first started doing this thing, I was 17, 18 years old.
Just a kid.
A kid. And now I'm 35, about to be 36. It's not cute anymore. It's not funny. There's nothing cool about it. And once that hit me, it hit me like a freight train, like boom. And I was like, okay, something needs to change. I need to make the change. So I actually started working out two times a day while working in the kitchen in the Davis County Jail. Okay.
Did you kind of realize that you were powerless over your addiction, that it was owning you, you weren't owning it?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think for a long time, right, before we come to step 1, really, we tell ourselves things like this. I don't have a problem, you have a problem.
Yeah.
You tell me I have a problem is my problem, right? Or it sounds like this. I can stop whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
I like doing pills. That's why I'm doing pills. And guess what? I can stop whenever I want.
Absolutely. And
right? And so we think we're running it. And then until February,
so officially it would have been February 14th. So what would have been Valentine's Day of 2019.
So until a day like February 14th hits, then we realize it's running us. We're powerless over this thing.
And I was.
And our lives are unmanageable. We got rap sheets.
So much.
Talk to me a little bit about time. You said, just for relatability, if anybody's listening that's been incarcerated, you got some experience on that.
I have so much. So I started doing time, as a juvenile. So when I say that I am a product of the state system, I don't say that in jest. I really, truly don't. I have been doing time off and on since I was 14 years old. Even back then for like petty stuff like shoplifting, all the way to the things that got me sent to prison and everything else. So collectively, total, if you add it all together, I've done well over 10, 11 years.
Yeah, dude. Like
jail,
that's one thing
prison.
that was, I kind of like reconnecting with you. I look back and I can remember in 9th grade when we went and we played for that national
youth football
champion
in Vegas.
There's a few of us that were like beast mode, bro.
Yeah.
You were one of those people. And then, so it makes sense now to me, listening and looking back, that it started at 14 for you. Because in high school, did you play all through high school?
Yep. So sophomore year, I didn't, because another unrelated incident. I was coincidentally grounded that whole summer. So my dad wouldn't let me play football because it's something that I loved and I wanted to do.
So he's trying to use it as motivation.
Very much so.
Okay.
And it did. I mean, I didn't play my sophomore year. Junior year, I came out, lack of better words, I kicked butt, you know. But the end of that season, however, I was still in active addiction. I ended up...
Look, I just asked this because I look back and I'm like, you should have been with me on the college field.
And I honestly, I think that was my goal. But between peer pressure...
Substance abuse,
life just happening all at once. We're young, we're impressionable. We don't know how to deal and process properly at that age, I feel. I didn't, at least.
Right.
And it led me just, while all my friends like you and everyone else was getting all these amazing opportunities that I had been working so hard for, it just passed me by. And yeah, some of that, all of it was due to my addiction and due to my actions. Okay. Because I could have been there. Instead, I chose to go over here and hang out with these guys and do this dumb crap, which led me to, you can't play.
I feel you. I feel like that's what happened in my coaching career. My substance abuse started, and I went from a head football coach to unhireable, for sure. So I get it.
Yeah, and it's a crushing blow, especially for you, me, because if I remember correctly, like, you were a beast, you were a dynamo, and
I was average.
I hear what you're saying, and you're modest, and I love that. That's why you do what you do, because you're humble about it. But in all actuality, brother, it didn't work out for me the way I feel that it should have. But in retrospect, I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah,
that wasn't my true calling. It's not what God had in mind for me at that point in time. So
it's crazy to say that. I totally can. I don't want to make this about me, but I totally can relate. The journey that you've been on, you can appreciate looking back.
That's the eyes right here. That's why we're here.
I feel it. I love it. All right, so talk to me about 2, right? So step 2. Do you remember when you started to believe that there was, a better way out there? Like, so you realize you're kind of powerless over this thing. At what point did you start to go, man, there's other people that have the same addiction, the same problem that I have, and they've been able to be successful and put it in the past? Like, there's got to be a better way, right? I'm not going to quote word for word the exact steps because I don't want any fellowships to feel like I'm overstepping here, but
very much so.
Basically, you get the concept, right? The principle is
sir.
Coming to believe that there's something better.
Yeah, and with me, my whole life has been a series of people who used to be on the path that I was on, who recognized the potential in me and would try to help cultivate that in me. I just wasn't ready, and I wasn't receptive to the information and the message at that point in time. So for me, there's been several incidents in jail, in prison, out of jail, on the street, at jobs. I've always been somebody who I like to think I've always been well-spoken. I've always been articulate. I've always been like, my actions don't coincide with the way I interact with people such as you. Like, you and me are sitting here right now. We're having a conversation. I could tell you all this information in places that I've been, and it would blow your mind. You'd be like, what?
Right.
Where? Why? Where was I?
Oh, yeah.
And that's been the story of my life.
I get that when people find out that I was homeless and try taking my own life.
See?
They're like, what?
Like, really?
Huh?
Yeah, see, and that's information I wasn't privy to until today, but that therein is part of the issue. Like, we get so rooted and stuck in our addiction to where there really isn't the light of day, and when there isn't the light of day, that means there's no light that's allowed to shine through when you're in a dark place.
Yeah, you're in survival mode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in that, we are blocking blessings. We're blocking information. We're blocking all these things and tools that are there to help us. We're just not in the right headspace to use and utilize those tools that are there for us.
Do you distinctly remember, though, like a moment or a situation or whatever, fill in the blank, where you thought to yourself, like, there's got to be a better way?
Yeah.
Like, life has got to be better than this.
I was in jail in Las Vegas, in Clark County Jail. I had a cellie who was an old gang member from California, he was my cellie. And
were you a gang affiliated at this time
yes,
as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And it was a rival. He was a rival gang member.
Rival gang member. In the same cell.
Same cell. But me, I was hot-headed. Him, God bless him, his name was Sheik Loke. He's an old head right now. He'd probably be in his early 60s.
Okay.
And he had been there and done that. So when here in Utah, like this man's from Southern California, he's from South Central. So it's like he knows gang banging on a whole other scale than what we here in Utah, or at least, I can't say we here in Utah, but at least what I was exposed to. You know, I've been exposed to some situations, and I've been involved in some stuff that I shouldn't have been, but not to the magnitude of this gentleman.
Gotcha. That's a good way. That's a classy way of putting it.
It really is. It really is, because I don't want to downplay Utah in any way, shape, or form, and I feel that Utah does get swept under the rug just because it is Utah. And people don't understand that we have the exact same problems out here, and they are just as bad here as it is in all these so-called ghettos and other areas that are, you know, downtrodden and impoverished all over the country, you know. And to his credit, he was trying to be a mentor. He was trying to guide. He was trying to teach. I was just young. I was dumb, and like I was on that gangbang stuff. So I was like, no, man, I ain't trying to hear what you're saying. You know, F you, yada, yada, yada. And when I realized there's got to be a better way, it was funny story. He actually beat me up. So he ended up saying something to me. He ended up beating it. So he ended up saying something to me that I took great offense to, and it was something that really I didn't need to be offended by.
Looking back today,
it was just who it was coming from.
Okay,
you know, and I'm in a position where I'm out of state. I'm in Vegas, where at the time, at least when I was in Clark County Jail, it was a madhouse. It was crazy. There was a lot of things going on. I believe that I'd seen some people. Yeah, I'm not even going to get into it. It was crazy. But after he promptly whooped my butt. Okay. I came to. I went to medical. I came back. I was in the same cell. He sat me down and he was like, look, Brandon, like, you're a good kid. And the reason why I'm talking to you the way I am and I'm trying to tell you this information is because you shouldn't be here. You should not be where you're at. I see you. You're reading books all day long. You're in the cell. When you come out, you interact, but you're a bookworm. You're a well-spoken kid. Like, my mom's a crackhead. My dad, it was never there. Like, I had to sell crack to support my brothers and sisters. And like, I dropped out in 6th grade. Like, so from his standpoint, he was like, statistically, this doesn't make sense to me from where I come from and what my view on gangs and gang activity is, and seeing you here, you don't fit the mold. And he said that to me, which I took great offense to, but he was saying it in a way to deter me from the path that I was on. Like, brother, you don't belong here. It's not saying that I don't like you and that you don't belong, but you don't belong here. Right.
There's something better for you than this.
Absolutely. And that was
don't
the
try
first
to be
time.
a gangster if you've coming from a,
no, seriously,
2-parent household. Your dad, and I'm not trying to knock on, right? Because
please.
But I know you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I know your family.
Yes,
so
you do.
Your dad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So my dad.
We got 2 minutes, but we're gonna have it make sense here in a minute why he would say that to you.
Yeah. So my dad is a very famous cop. The movie Black Klansman, the Black Klansman book, that is his life story. That is a factual story. That's my father, Sergeant Ron Stallworth. He started the gang task force, or was one of the men who started the gang task force here in Utah.
So now it makes sense.
So now it makes sense, and he knew this information. You know.
Okay. They always
do, and in knowing that information, he was like, brother, you don't belong here. You belong over here. And I'm saying that to tell you that you are equally accepted. You're just as accepted doing the right thing and being who you are supposed to be rather than what you think you should be.
Yeah.
And all that was due to the fact that, I'm doing drugs. I'm hanging out with gangbangers, and I'm always emulated. I've always hung out with kids that were older than me because I've always looked older. I've always acted older. I relate better with people who are older than me. Like my dad used to say, I was born in the wrong generation. I should have been born in the 70s, you know? So with all that, it was just crazy, brother. It really was. But that was the definitive moment at first when I was like, okay, something's out of whack here. But then you flash forward 10 years in the future, I'm still doing the same silly stuff. You know,
but that was when it very first dawned on you.
That's when it first dawned on me. That's when it was first brought to my attention. And granted, it was beaten into me, but literally. But that was when it was like I was receptive to the information.
I love it. I love it. So we're gonna get back to we've led into step 3. We're gonna get back and have you talk about step 3. Also got some great points around step 3. We're running out of time here. We're going to have a little sponsorship mention, and then we'll continue episode 52 part 2 after that. Hey guys, do me a favor. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, please share it, right? That's how we get the word out. Also, if you go to any of our podcast platforms, give us a 5-star review. That always helps. We'll see you guys after this 30-second sponsorship mention. Thank you.
You are listening to We Do Recover with Jared Miller and co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. We'll be right back after this short break with more of We Do Recover with Jared Miller, sponsored by Steps Recovery Center and the Hilton Garden Inn.
I'm Desmond Lomax, one of the clinical executives here at Steps Recovery, and once you become with the Steps family, you're just a part of the Steps family. A lot of us have overcome substances, overcome addiction, and now we're able to help other people. Second of all, we're also going to help you in a way where you can afford to be helped. Third of all, we're going to give you the same quality that many organizations are charging 2 to 3 times, and it's more about you than it is about our organization.
We welcome you back to We Do Recover with Jared Miller, co-hosted by Dr. Terry Sellers. Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn. And now with part 2 of our podcast, Jared Miller and Dr. Terry Sellers.
Man, you know, it's really too bad that you live all the way up in Davis County.
It does. I part of me wants to move down here like tonight. Like, honey, pack up the kid.
Brandon's just like getting it. He's dancing in the studio.
We're having fun,
bro. You know, you really are a great example of truly living recovery. Like,
we're having fun.
I love it, man. I love it.
It's the best time of my life right now. You know what I mean? So far, the best is yet to come, but I have no problems or qualms or quips with everything that's happening.
Yeah, dude,
right
there's
now.
a sense of peace about you that I just can't get enough of.
It took so long.
And I love that you're like not afraid to be silly and funny, and yeah, it's awesome. So I appreciate you being on here.
Not anytime.
So episode 52 part 2 is brought to you by the Hilton Garden Inn. It's always sunny and bright at the Hilton Garden Inn in St. George, Utah. If you're traveling through southern Utah or you just need a vacation, give them a Google search. Just type in Hilton Garden Inn, St. George, Utah. Great amenities. You stayed there you're staying there tonight.
I'm staying there tonight. They're amazing.
Pretty cool, right?
I'm going to go dip in the pool as soon as I'm done with all this. And of course, speaking at Steps, I need to, that's something that I'm really, really excited for. I'm glad that you were able to set that up.
Dude, we're just glad that you're willing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The more the merrier. I can do this all day. I truly could.
You know, the thing is, I listen to other podcasts, and the thing that I truly love about our sponsorships is I have relationships with these people. Like, I truly love both these sponsorship organizations. And we may be getting another sponsor, but I'm not going to announce something that's not going to happen. But I look forward to a future relationship with somebody who's wanting to come on as a sponsor.
That'd be great.
So yeah. So let's get back to this thing. So we've kind of reviewed Brandon's life through step 1, step 2.
Yep.
So the official step 3, this is the only one we're going to do the officialness on, but we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Step 3. Now listen, I really like this book. I'm going to talk about this book. Russell Brand. He has this book. It's called Recovery, Freedom from Our Addictions. And really, I always struggle because I realize that the 11th tradition is staying anonymous at press, radio, and film. So I really try to be respectful of that. You notice we never say specific fellowships. We always just say fellowship. So I want to stay respectful, but I want to also walk through these steps in a way that is very transparent. Just common language, right? Because some of this stuff can get real mystified. And if you don't yet have a sponsor, I highly recommend you get a sponsor to walk you through these things, because sometimes we can get caught up in all that lingo.
Yeah, very much so. It's happened to me several times, and every time I have, it's deterred me. It set me back.
And dude, I love fellowships, right? A big part of my story has contributed to fellowships, that sense of community, that sense of belonging, that sense of these people understand me. I can go in there and tell a crazy story, and people, instead of being revolted, can go, oh yeah, I remember something like that.
I got one that'll top that. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like that. But that's,
we need that, dude.
But we do, though. We really, really do. I feel that the more that, like you said, things are shared, we have to take the stigma and rip the Band-Aid off of the issue. Otherwise, like, it's never going to heal.
Dude, and I'm so glad you said that, because when we get to step 12, which believe it or not, I believe that doing this podcast is part of my step 12.
Really?
Yes.
That makes sense.
But step 12 has some stuff in it, right? Through sharing the message, continuing to share the message. But also the 12th tradition is anonymity. And I think a lot of people mistake anonymity for you can't talk about your journey, which I don't think is true. And we'll talk about that when we get to that, but I look forward to that. But I always try to be respectful. I always want to be respectful. So
absolutely.
In the sake of that, talk to me about what do you remember when you started to hang on, where am I at? Boom, boom, boom. Do you remember when you started to accept help and let go of the need to control your life and your self-will?
Yes, sir. That was that same day, February 14th, is when I made the decision to start working out. For me, I've always related that to that's the one time, where we do have full control over what we're doing, but the end result has yet to be seen. And I always relate that greatly with my relationship with my higher power. Okay. And in the way it's relevant in relation to me is that the same journey, I started doing my 2-a-days. I was actually bunkmates with one of my big homies. Shout out to him, Justin. And me and this man used to have such incredible talks. He's a well of information. He's always been great. But just sitting back and just sharing hopes, dreams, aspirations, goals. And this was another big homie who saw something in me and wanted to see me be successful. And
so that's when you kind of became more open to accepting help and advice and perspectives that other
yes, sir.
other people had.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's exactly what it was, is that between my bad experience in Vegas, which wasn't bad. All right. I took the, lack of better words, I'm sorry. I took the ass whipping with a grain of salt. I did. Okay.
Okay.
I took it on the chin, literally. But this time around, man, when I was in there in 2019, brother, it was just the whole experience was unlike any other experience I've had incarcerated in my entire life, and quote unquote my entire prison career, right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
And this last time was the time where I've been able to take all of the feedback, all of the help, all of the things and the tools that were there for me, that have been there for me all along. I finally got to a point in my life to where I woke up one morning and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to do what I can. And then I'm just going to let God take the wheel. And because what I've been doing right now, it's not working. It hasn't worked since way back in the day, since the 90s. We're talking 2021. Or, at the time it was 2019. So it was like, okay, dude, like, I don't know. I don't have a clue. Maybe this guy might have something to contribute. So I'm going to kick back and I'm going to hear what he has to say. And when I did, I was floored. Because it was really, and it all really boils back down to my father, because my dad and his profession and just who he is as a man and an individual has told me I'm a retard my entire life. Lack of better words, I'm sorry. I don't mean to use the word retard, but, he...
my wife's a special education teacher. Yeah, she just cringed.
And that's why I don't
Future
mean to...
forgiveness, babe.
Yeah, please. I don't mean to be disrespectful to people with disabilities at all, but the way I was acting and the way I was raised, my father just didn't understand it. I was dumb to him, not me as my thought process, but as actually
your behaviors,
my behaviors and my
for
actions.
Sure.
And my dad has been telling me since I was a kid, he's always given me the best advice, has always told me, even in the process of me being dumb, is telling me, dude, you're being dumb. These people aren't your people. This person's not your person. The things you're doing, you don't want to move like that. But it's coming from your dad, and your dad just happens to be a cop. And at the time, I'm like, you know what, man, F the poli. You're one of them. I don't need to hear what you're saying.
You may have had a small case of oppositional defiance.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. Exactly what it was. And
it's like I do this for a living.
Yeah, weird. It's like you run steps. It's strange. But absolutely, that was one of those moments to where I was able to finally just I saw light at the end of the tunnel, and I just went towards it in whatever way led me up to the top. So, I mean, fitness was a big part of that. You know, strongman and lifting has been a big part of my success right now.
And dude, that's in the 4 pillars: bio, psycho, social, spiritual. Right?
Absolutely.
That's that first pillar, the bio.
Yep.
Got to get yourself physically healthy.
And that was my big thing. And I've always, and I think every addict can relate, you know, when when we're downtrodden and we're in our active addiction, we don't look or act our best. So for us, that when we first get out of it, the first thing we want to do is
our brain's not firing properly.
Yeah, the neurons aren't doing what they're
no,
supposed
really,
to
your
do.
brain's been hijacked. That's how it's a disease.
Yeah, the chemistry in your brain is no longer your chemistry. And then for me, I had to take a lot of my preconceived notions, a lot of my behaviors, a lot of what I thought about the world and the way I lived in it and looked at it.
Old beliefs.
Yeah. So I had to question. I had to take everything that I believed up until that point, and everything I had been taught by my, you know, so-called family, whether we're talking, you know, the trap house through, you know, gang banging culture or anything like that. I've had to literally take my whole belief system and question absolutely every facet about who I'm listening to, who I'm associating with, and how I'm moving.
I love it, bro. You're like a scientist, and your science project is yourself.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, we all build the volcano, but I mean, it's not exciting unless you make it foam, right? You know, if it doesn't erupt, then like, I have a dud volcano, dude. I mean, I added the baking soda, and what's going on? So you know, my
science project, when it comes to terms of the volcano, I had to look back and go, why am I building a volcano out of my life?
Exactly.
Right? Like, why am I building something that eventually is just going to erupt and destroy everything that I've worked so hard for?
That's actually an incredible point. So maybe the volcano wasn't a good reference point, right? Like in retrospect, I'm like, okay, you know what?
No, but
you got me. but seriously though, like, you can't move a mountain. I feel. To climb the mountain, like I just want to get to the top. I just want to get to the precipice, and I don't even need to be at the very top. I just need to be where I'm above the BS, to where I could see clearly from a higher vantage point.
I totally pick up what you're putting down, man. I tell people all the time, and it may be cheesy, maybe corny, and that's fine because I love it, and I'm going to keep saying it. I'm a truth seeker.
You have to.
I had to start looking for truths in my own life. Why am I holding on to these old beliefs? Why am I holding on to stuff that no longer serves me? And some of that stuff, I had to do what we do in step 3. I had to let it go.
And that's exactly what I did. And it hurt at the time. It hurt me because it's like, okay, I'm big on loyalty. I always have been. I always will be.
Yeah.
Okay. And for me, it was like, for the longest time, I will refuse to turn my back on anybody, period. You know, but that was also a big part of my downfall. And now in retrospect, I haven't turned my back on anybody. I put myself first finally. I'm a leader. I'm a natural born leader. It never made sense to my father or my family why I chose to follow people for so long, or ideals for so long. And now that I see myself for who I truly was, and then I saw myself and where I was at and what I could possibly be. And once I was able to be like, okay,
that's literally step 1 and step 2.
Yeah, when I went, and you can relate. When I was looking back, and I was like, wow, okay, not moving good. Let me try something different. Once I shifted gears, brother, it's all been blessing after blessing after blessing, and it continues to get better and better, and my life continues to grow, and the people that are coming into my life are people I wouldn't trade for the world. My support system, between strongman, between powerlifting, between all my bodybuilding friends, all my friends who are doing music, like I know a lot of people who are so successful in their lanes, and to be able to bear witness and to be a part of it and to be included in it, in something that is wholesome, is so new to me, but it's so fulfilling. And I wouldn't have that had I not let all that old crap go. And that was the biggest thing for me. And I know my father, he could attest, like, I'm sure he's so happy. Like, dude, I don't care what you're doing so long as you're not doing that, dude. Just you're doing fine. Just keep going that way.
I love it, man. Yeah. I love it. When you were in the time that you spent incarcerated, what type of programming did you have? And like, was it ever brought to your attention that you're kind of, the self-will has got to go, right? So in other words, talk to me about any kind of treatment program that you did. And was there ever a point where you're like, man, I'm pretty selfish. I'm pretty self-centered.
So when I first fished in, I was in Draper, out at the point, and then they ended up transferring me to Gunnison. Okay. In Gunnison nowadays, it's the standard when you get incarcerated that because drugs are such a problem now, that it's a full scale pandemic. Like COVID, okay, I hear about COVID, and that's cool, but drugs and drug abuse and the war on drugs is still alive. It's still well. And
so I just heard a statistic the other day that 80% of people that are incarcerated are on drug-related offenses.
Absolutely. And they're doing way more time than they should be doing, the majority of them as well. And in Utah, one thing I'll give that is that I've noticed in the past 15 years that Utah has stepped its game up. It is now mandatory when you are in there on any type of drug-related charge. They make you program. They make you do that, whether you are ready for it or not.
They're hoping to plant some seeds.
Which is really all it took for me, because at the time I had tools. So I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're
so
good, man.
When I got sent to Gunnison, they had a program, the Hope program in there, right?
Okay, talk to me about that.
So the Hope program is a year-long program, okay? And you have to do thinking for a change classes, conflict resolution. You have to do anger management, substance abuse treatment, meetings, so on and so forth. And then there's also this project where you have to, I forget what it was called because it's I terminated that sentence. I mean, we're talking over 10 years now, but there was 2 big projects where you have to do a stand up in front of the whole section.
Okay.
And you have to disclose how your addiction and how your actions have affected you personally, which is a big thing, because when I got this assignment, and it's mandatory, you have to do it. You can't graduate the program. And most times now, if I'm not mistaken, at least for me, when you are sentenced to that program, your release date is contingent upon completion. If you don't complete it, you're not getting out.
And you're not getting sentenced to that program if you don't have at least more than a year, because obviously it's a year-long program.
Absolutely.
So you were doing some time, bro.
Yeah, so I was doing some time already. So, and I was in a different section at the time. I actually had buddies who were in that program who told people like, hey, I want him in my section. So they hijacked me from another section and forced me into that program. And I was mad at the time, but in retrospect,
you were not being honest probably at first.
No. So when
were you open? Were you willing?
So I was willing. I was open. Did I take it seriously at the time? No. But was I honest? Absolutely.
Okay.
I was honest.
But this is the forced treatment stuff that we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Sean, right? When you asked me like, what's the success rate of people that are mandated or forced into treatment? We got a product of one, right? 2 of us sitting right here. So let's hear about it.
The first, when I had to talk about myself, it truly forces you to pick apart your entire life, and you have to be your own worst critic.
We're already really good at that as addicts, though.
Absolutely. Like we wallow in self-despair the whole time.
It's the sharing piece that's scary.
That was the problem with me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've never had an issue being on the spot. So it's like, okay, I got to stand up and just talk about myself. I do that anyway, but I got to be honest about myself though, and like all the dirt that I do.
Right.
So when I first did that, it was like, okay, wow. Well, then that's step 1. So at the very end of the program, you have to do one where you talk about how not only your addiction has messed you up, but how it has affected everyone around you. So now I have to put myself in an empathetic position where I have to think about how my mom feels. I have to think about how my dad feels, my brother, my kids. At the time I didn't have any, but I have to think about all these other people that my addiction directly or indirectly affects. And when I did that, majority of the time, what I've seen, it's been my experience, when people get to that point, I've seen some super hardcore gangbangers cry, all sorts of stuff, especially if they're taking it seriously. Granted, at the time, now keep in mind, I was honest, and I talked about it, and don't get me wrong, that was the one assignment that did kind of put a dent in my armor. I was like, wow, I'm kind of a piece of crap. You know what I mean? I'm really not a good person. I want to be, but I'm not right now. So
put it on your radar.
No, absolutely. But when I left that program, though, I graduated it, so I ended up getting released, whatever. But the tools that I gained, especially like anger management, because my biggest thing is always like, all my crimes are a direct result of my addiction, but they are all, for the most part, predominantly violent crimes.
Yeah.
A lot of fighting, a lot of violent stuff going on there.
We kind of talked about this the other day, but no, I can believe that, because back like in high school, we knew each other from junior high really good. In high school, it'd be like, oh, them Layton boys, man, they're messing with one of our girlfriends.
Mess Clearfield.
Man, them Layton.
Hated Clearfield.
We'd go to, all right, let's go fight them. We're meeting at the flagpole at 1 o'clock.
No, seriously.
And then like I'd roll up and be like, Brandon, what up, dude? Like, I can't fight these guys. I know these guys.
I'll fight them, but I'm not fighting this one. I'll beat them up, but I'm not beating Jared up. We played football together. We're cool, but I don't know you, bro.
So I can remember those days. I remember the violence around it for sure.
So even stemming from clear back then, before prison was even, I mean, it was definitely at that point in time in my future if I had stayed on that path, which I did, but it's one of those things to where those seeds were planted already. But then when I got incarcerated and I was forced to do all these programs and all this these little, I was able to gain something out of it too. So whenever people tell me like that shit doesn't work, part of my language, I apologize. Whenever they tell me that crap doesn't work, I have to beg to differ. Like, not on, maybe on your end, but on my scope, like, I went in there with the sole mentality and purpose of I'm going to fake it till I make it. Yeah. Okay. But in the process,
program to get let out early.
Yep. But in the process, you end up buying into a little bit of the hype, though.
Well, bro, I think it makes you aware.
And that's all
before you're on autopilot.
Very much so.
You know, like you don't know why you do the things you do. You don't ask the hard questions like, what is my deal? What is my problem? Right. But once programming happens, they make you look at those things, which makes you aware of those things, which then plants a little seed, right? Of, man,
maybe I'm not moving the way I should be moving.
Maybe I don't want to keep doing this.
And then granted, when I did get out, I ended up going back one time after that HOPE program, which led to me terminating my prison sentence. And due to the grace of God, I haven't been back to prison since. I've been back to jail a few times since, but never back to prison. It's never gotten that deep. And I was actually able to stay clean for initially like 3 years. I ended up getting out. I had relapsed, but then I ended up meeting a girl, moving to Idaho, whatever. And then I was clean for the whole duration up there. I ended up having my daughter, love her to death, Zoe Michelle. Ended up having my daughter up there, and I ended up getting a more bitter sense of who I am and where I could be if I stay on this path. Now, granted, that relationship didn't work out, and I ended up.
But you basically realized that the best part of your life is when you applied those principles and the tools that they had implanted.
Removing myself from everything I had ever been around, everything I had ever known, was the scariest yet the most fulfilling and rewarding experience of my life, because it allowed me to cut out all the distractions that I normally would have had. I'm in a place where I don't know anybody, lack of better words, there's no black people in Idaho. So it's like, okay, so I'm going to Idaho, bro, but when I'm there, I don't know where drugs are. Right. I don't know people out there. Right. I'm in somewhere where I'm covered in tattoos on my face, and I look like a piece of crap. Like, you know what I mean? I look like I've done time.
You changed your playground, and that was a important step for you.
It was one of the most important steps for me, because it showed me that I could do it. It also showed me that I can be successful without the distractions. Now, granted, I ended up falling back into them, but you fast forward back to step 3, you fast forward back to 2019. That was when I was able to take all the feedback and all the turmoil and chaos of my whole life, and I was able to put it all in a box, shake the box up, and pull each experience and each bit of advice and mentorship. I was able to pull each piece of that puzzle out of that box and put it all back together to where the pieces fit, which leads me to sitting here speaking with you.
I love it, man. I love it. So check it out. If you're working step 3, a couple things to keep in mind, right? So, and I got this actually out of Russell Brand's book. Just a couple questions, and feel free to share on these. We got about 2 minutes left.
Yeah, let's go.
Am I feeling unsatisfied, limited, empty, or anxious in my relationships? Is a good question to ask yourself when you're taking a look at this step. Do my feelings lead me to move, do my feelings lead me to make or not make decisions, take or not take actions, or say or not say things that I am going to regret? Am I suffering from misery, depression, unhappiness, low self-worth? Am I suffering from anxiety, doubt, or perfectionism? Man, I got a bunch of them on here.
That's cool.
Am I projecting imaginary future scenarios, then worrying about them? That was a big one for me.
Yeah, me too.
Right? And so asking yourself those kind of questions is a big thing, a big indicator on the benefits of step 3, of letting go, letting God, right? I know that's a platitude, but it's a good one, and I like it. And today I don't future trip. I don't worry about that stuff, right? I trust that I've turned my will, and listen, every day I feel like I take the wheel back, and I have to remind myself every day, let go, right?
Let go.
Let your higher
you're
power.
still in the car. You're just not controlling the car.
Right.
You know, you're still going in the direction you need to go, but you aren't the one who's captain. You're not the captain of the ship.
Right. And to be totally honest, this one is the one that I have to visit the most often, because I can be really good, especially with OCD and a little bit of control issues,
That's
perfectionism, of letting go and letting my higher power step in. But guess what? It's always better when he does.
It really is. It really is. In my experience, it's been the most rewarding part of my life. It's led me to where I finally see what all these people my whole life have been telling me in regards to my potential. It's finally led me to a point to where it's like, you know what? I got it. I don't have it, but I know that I'm capable if I do the work. I know I'm capable of great things. I just need to trust the people that I have around me. I need to trust God. And then I just need to do what I'm supposed to do. Everything else will fall into place. I don't care about tomorrow. I don't care about yesterday. I care about this second. I'll worry about 5 minutes from now when it's 5 minutes from now.
I love it, man. It's staying in the here and now. Brandon, it's been so fun having you. Come on, dude. Thank you. Lunch was delicious.
It really was.
It was really good catching up with you, man.
It was great.
Let's set up that double date.
I'm serious.
We're doing it. It's going down.
Dude, you're coming.
Hey, listen, guys.
It's a double.
Please like this, comment, share. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining us today on We Do Recover with Jared Miller.
Help us spread our message of hope. Like, comment, and share.
If you have any topics or ideas for future shows, please share that on our Facebook page.
That Facebook page is We Do Recover with Jared Miller. If you or a loved one needs help, please reach out to us. Again, thank you for listening.
Brought to you by Steps Recovery Center and the St. George Hilton Garden Inn. This has been a production from A Podcast Studio.